In my first Leisure Arts publication, More Knitting Will Fashions, I introduced you to binding off the top of a hat with wedges, as you can see in the Irish lace beret. This video will show you how to do this bind off. As you can see, I've already completed one, and it ends up looking like a triangle. First, I'd like to give you a little explanation on what the wedge bind off is all about. If you look at your loom, it looks like a pie. When you cut a pie, you cut it into little triangles. But we are referring to this triangle as a wedge. So when you cut your pie, you're cutting it into portions, for example, half, or a quarter, or even eighths or sixes. Whatever will work for the number of pegs that you have. You can use any hat loom to bind off in the wedge bind off. This particular Cindy Woodcraft loom has 36 pegs. For the example that I'm working, I'm dividing it into quarters, so into fourths. 36 divided by 4 wedges would be 9. So 9 pegs per wedge is what I will be showing you to use. Again, you can see I've finished one wedge. So once I finish a wedge, I have to reattach my yarn, and that's what this is. I put a slip knot on a peg, and we will start with wrapping the first peg, which would be 1. Now remember, we're working with 9 pegs, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Your instructions would probably say knit 9 pegs and wrap the next one to increase. Now this is where the wedges get tricky, because in essence what you're doing is you're borrowing the top of this peg. Even though it has a loop on it, it's not using the whole peg, so we're able to use the top to work a new stitch. So we have just knit 9 and increased 1. To work back the other direction, we would make our turn, because we're now working a flat panel, and knit just the top loop, 2 loops, leaving the bottom on. This loop at the bottom is waiting because it will be part of this next wedge, and we will knit back the other direction. We now have 10 stitches, and that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now I'm going to release my slip knot here, because otherwise I may confuse it and think of it as being a stitch. Now my instructions would tell me to increase at the end of the row, so I will increase with an E ramp. If there had been a loop here, I would have left it alone, because it would have been part of this wedge. I'm now ready to work back the other direction. Again, I'm working on a flat panel. So I will wrap and knit the first, and now I have 11 pegs. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And remember, this bottom stitch is not used, so we will knit the top 2 only. Through the wonder of the pause button on the video camera, I now have my 15 stitches. The original 9 plus 3 increases on the right side and 3 increases on the left side. Your pattern will tell you about manipulating these stitches, or how to manipulate these stitches. You will need to decrease to make the triangle or the wedge, and it will explain it to you as you go. And when you're done with knitting your wedge and decreasing, you will have 1 stitch left. And when you cut your yarn, leave a long tail. This tail will help you when you seam all of the wedges together. You can utilize your tail if it's long enough. Okay, I am also preparing a video tutorial on working the seaming of the triangles, so be sure and look for that.